Okay, so we're going to tackle some strawberries. We're going to slice strawberries we're actually going to show for multiple applications. We're going to use this on our kale salad, and then we're going to combine it with a little bit of the strawberry topping for our cheesecake. So just want to show you how to cut them here. A couple different ways you can tackle. You can kind of cut off the stem, obviously, right? Or you can quarter it if you want to lose less product and you have the time, and kind of cut out the stem, whatever's most efficient for you, as long as you end up with the same outcome. So quarter your strawberries, obviously wash first, right? So what we're looking to do, we just want to slice these probably about 1/8 of an inch. They don't have to be absolutely perfect. Cut glove inhibits my cutting skills, but it'll be okay. So I'm just going to cut a few just to demonstrate for the cheesecake. And then I'll combine them with the sauce. So if you're going to use it for the kale salad, keep it straight. Don't add any sauce or anything like that. Any of the strawberry topping. Good idea to remember too. So if you cut these in advance, and let's say you have them for the salad, and let's say it happens to be on day 2, like these are still going to be usable for the sauce, because the whole idea is like we kind of want to macerate them in the topping. So try to work them off of each other. If that makes sense, so we're not losing them. Follow the procedures for the quantities. I believe it's 2 pounds approximately of these, so like 1 cup. For these purposes right now, I'm just going to kind of eyeball. All you're looking to do is just kind of get them in there and toss them around, and you're ready to go. I'm going to put this off the side, and then we're going to make the cheesecake and finish her up. Alright, so we're going to make our strawberry cheesecake. So normal quantity of cheesecake mix, normal quantity of milk. This is really the only change. So we're making a half batch. So we cut the amount of liquid on top in half. So normally this would be 2 cups. It's now going to be 1 cup. And basically all we're going to do is replace that remaining cup for half, or 2 cups for a full, with strawberry topping, liquid topping. So this is more than what we need for the recipe. So I'm just going to measure out a cup when I make when we assemble or make the cheesecake. All right, so we have my old arch nemesis, KitchenAid. How about it, Pam? We're going to do our Merc. We're going to do our Merc. We're going to do our on top, liquid on top. I'm going to do exactly 1 cup. We have 3 cups, so I'm just going to take it down to 2. All right, so I'm going to actually add the cheesecake mix now, just because I hate this thing. So yeah, other than the quantity change on the on top and switching it out with the strawberry topping, exact same process. Put it in, whip it, scrape the bowl, all those kind of things. So now we're just going to assemble the cheesecake. We have our cheesecake mix, we have our strawberries, and obviously whipped cream. So at the bottom, add your chocolate crumb, chocolate topping, whatever we're calling it. And then our cheesecake basically tastes like strawberry milk, so it's not a bad thing. So we have our strawberries and the strawberry topping. Very simple. About a tablespoon. Heaping tablespoon. Get sauce and strawberries. So as it sits, you'll see it actually it kind of weaves its way down through the cheesecake, which actually looks really cool. So whipped cream garnish. And that's it. Strawberry cheesecake. All right, so we're gonna make a very simple kale salad. So we have cleaned, picked, ripped kale. There are pretty detailed procedures, and if anybody was around, we did do one a couple years back, maybe a year back, can't remember, time runs together, but so you can see there's no like thick ribs or anything like that in there as far as the stem goes, because that's like the real fibrous, chewy part. So kind of just rip those apart and do it pretty quickly. You know, so we want something nice and clean. All right, so this is going to consist of kale, feta, toasted almonds, red onion. So these are red onion rings that I kind of pre-quartered. So basically onion ring, and then I quartered it. If they're a little bit thicker than these, you can cut them into 6, 8s. We're just looking for a little bit smaller slices or pieces. And then sliced strawberries. I know we discussed in the video earlier. So these are the strawberries that I cut a while ago that I have left over. And then strawberry balsamic vinaigrette. So our balsamic, and again the strawberry topping. So it's a 2-to-1 ratio, right? So 1 cup, or 1 cup, half a cup, 2 cups, 1 cup, 1 gallon, half gallon, 2 tablespoons, 1 tablespoon. Like, so it's pretty basic as far as that goes. It's just something easy, depending on you can always just reference the 2-to-1 ratio depending on how much you need or how much you want to make. So this is a cup, about 2 cups here. Very simple. Combine and whisk, and that's it. Whoops. So you kind of get this nice deep red color. Still get a little bit of sweetness, but you still get all the vinegar and all those kind of things. So this is probably the other most important part. First most important part being the kale's ripped and cleaned and just processed the way it needs to be. So again, we've done this in the past, if anybody remembers. So we're just going to add dressing. To the kale. You don't need a lot. Again, there are procedures. So this is the next most important part. So you kind of want to, you got to massage the kale, work the kale, because it's pretty stout, substantial, I guess. You'll see, like, it kind of, you can get it. It definitely starts to break down. You can even feel it in your hands. It starts getting a little bit softer. Don't be afraid of it. Like, really kind of work it. And it will still hold its shape, and and all those kind of things. It'll even almost turn a little more green. If anybody's ever been to Chick-fil-A, they have their kale salad. Essentially the same exact thing. So after we get to this point, this can be done in advance. I'm going to say we probably have up to 3 days. So this can either be done in advance or when you need it, right? If you need it, you may have to work it a little bit harder, a little bit longer to get it out onto the bar. But it's a pretty quick process. So you'd have your picked kale, you would add your dressing, it's already prepared, and you'd work it, or you pre-mix it and then you tote it. So you're not going to add anything else to it, right? So I'm going to plate one up real quick, and this is why we can get away with, giving it about 3 days. So it's a little bit different than what we normally do, which is 4 days. And then basically just going to top it with the remaining ingredients, okay? And again, there are quantities listed. Thank you, sir. So again, feta. Almonds. Some of our red onion. Again, this is for picture purposes, so I'm kind of too worried about gloves and such. But super simple, right? Okay, so next we're going to do our sausage tortellini soup. We're going to make a full pot, right? So we have obviously water. We have some kale. This is probably the last thing I should have went with, but just because it goes in the soup last or next to last. So water, tomato, obviously our trusty soup crunchies, kale, chicken base. This is just a blend of garlic, basil, oregano, black pepper, a little bit of kosher salt. And then we have some raw bulk sausage, sweet Italian. I am going to show you how to cook it off. Very easy. I'm sure it's probably even how you may do it now, but this maybe is a little bit of a refresher. And then we have tortellini. So this is maybe a little bit different than what we're used to or for majority of our soups. So the tortellini's been boiled, right? They come in frozen, 4.5 minutes, salted water, drained, shocked, right? So ice bath, stop cooking, drain, and then put into a tote or a container, a little bit of vegetable oil, kind of, inhibit the sticking because it is pasta. So this is going to be on a per bain-marie basis, right, or a per pot basis. So not a recipe, but what you actually physically put out onto the soup bar, which is called a bain-marie. So this will get 1 pound of rethermed tortellini per bain-marie or per pot that goes onto the salad bar. Right, so this is very important because if you add them to the soup while sitting on the stove, they're going to blow up, all the cheese is going to explode, and then it's going to look like a big giant mess, and we don't want that. So now we're going to move on to cooking the, hi Pam, we're going to go on to cooking the sauce. Huh? What? All right, so now we're going to cook the sausage. For today's purposes, I'm just going to use some foil pans. Bulk sausage, this is just some random sweet Italian, honestly, that I picked up at the grocery store. So we're going to go into a pan, kind of separate a little bit, but not be anything crazy. We'll see, just so it's not a big giant blob of raw sausage. Then we're going to add a couple, tablespoon and a half, 2 tablespoons of water. Kind of get a little steam working. I'm going to cover it parchment and foil. You could use a metal pan, lid if you have a full sheet pan size, that kind of thing. It's got to make sure it doesn't necessarily seal as nice as parchment and foil. So going to put it in the oven, 375, I believe 375, 400-ish, right around there. Again, in the directions. So you're going to put it in at about halfway in the cooking time. You're going to pull it out and kind of work it and break it up, chop it, whatever you got to use. You can use a spatula, you can use a spoon, you can use your hands if you got, I don't know, like asbestos gloves or something for fingers. But so we're just going to put it in the oven for now, and then you're going to cover it back up at that point and put it back in and let it finish. So from this point on, it's basically the same exact way that we make any of our other soups, right? So we're just going to add, we're going to keep the kale out for a little bit. We're going to keep tortellini right until it goes out onto the bar. So from here, we're going to add our water, tomato, soup crunchies, seasonings, chicken base. And basically, we're just going to do it like we do our chicken noodle. We're going to cook it until everything's incorporated and our carrots are a little bit on the soft side. And then we'll come back and finish it with the sausage and the kale and the tortellini, exactly in that order. So that, I'm just going to talk about tortellini real quick before I add the remaining ingredients here. But so again, prepare this in bulk, okay? So there is no you could figure out and do the math, like you may need 3 pound total for the recipe, but ultimately you kind of want to prepare it and cook it like you do for soup noodles for chicken noodle soup. You just got to remember, like maybe portioning these into 1 pound. 1 pound portions to add to the soup as it goes out. And this is going to be used for an entree in the future, so that's with this simultaneously. So that's why it's kind of important too to recommend it to do it in bulk. Okay, so brought our soup up to a boil, our soup crunchies. I don't know if Ian can get that or not, right? So brought everything up, soup crunchies started to to get tender, I just transferred them into the jacketed kettle. In the meantime, I pulled the sausage out. So we're a little over halfway as far as cooking goes. It's cool enough to the touch, or at least enough that I can work with it. Again, you can use tongs, you can use spoon, you can use spatulas, work well. But I'm just gonna break it up with my hands. Maybe, because it's really hot right now. So I'm gonna switch to a spatula right now. Hey, we don't hide here. Real world problems, you know? Real world issues. Tackle them as we see fit. So again, we're over halfway done here. But like covering it and cooking with a little bit of moisture in it just keeps it moist, keeps it from getting too brown. Not that there's anything wrong with brown sausage, but it's not what I'm looking for. And we're gonna cover it and put it back in, just cook it the entire way, 165, pull it out. And if you run into any large pieces when it's, you know, when you pull it out at the end, just do the same thing, just break them up. We're just looking for, you know, half inch or less, I would say, pieces of sausage. Enough to fit on a spoon with a tortellini. Then we're gonna go back into the oven for probably 7 minutes. Okay, so we have our fully cooked sausage, right? I'm just gonna break it up a little bit more. And you could do this if you want. So you can actually cook this, add it to the pot, serve it. You can actually cook this a little bit in advance, cool it down properly, you know, keep it in a tote, whatever, depending on how much you think you're gonna go through the day. So all this sausage will get added in the pot. Again, I got decent sizes. Going to get rid of any of the excess fat. Just going to use my tongs. You can use whatever you want. Okay, so sausage going in, and now we're going to add the kale. We're basically going to cook to soften the kale. Doesn't take real long. The magic of heat. And with the magic of video, we're going to flash forward for when we're ready to serve. All right, so the same kale that we used for the salad earlier, right? Like the cleaned, the destemmed, washed, all that kind of stuff. So about 6 ounces per pot, which if you know, is in the grand scheme of things, not a whole lot of kale. So I hate to tell you, you can eyeball it, but you can eyeball it. Right, so we're just gonna add to the soup, stir it up. Flash forward, we're getting ready to take soup out to the bar, right? So we have bain marie, okay? So we have rethermed 1 pound tortellini. Then we have the soup completely finished. So at this point is when, I mean, you can put the soup in and then you can add the tortellini, you can add tortellini, you can add the soup, whatever. Just make sure it's all, you know, mixed, completely incorporated. When it goes to the bar, there's a very high likelihood that you're gonna have to replenish or add some additional tortellini to it. I think we all know people will be trying to fish out tortellini, fish out the, you know, all the good stuff, the sausage and such. So just keep an eye on it. Yeah, that's it. Very simple. All right, so we're gonna prepare the A1 Willy burger. So again, 2 patties, there's enough for 2 sandwiches here. Brioche bun, pretty normal. Set on the bun. So lettuce, tomato, serve with pickle on the side. So what makes this the A1? The A1 Willy is the A1 green peppercorn sauce in smoked Gouda and then crispy fried onion tangler. So this is really the 3 ingredients that make it different or separate it. These are pretty simple. I think a lot of people probably done them past a minute and a half in the deep fryer. Sliced smoked Gouda, and this is a sauce that we're actually preparing, right? So very simple. It is A1 Worcestershire crushed green peppercorn, which I'm going to talk about. A little bit of mayonnaise, black pepper, and then really the most important thing to talk about here is actually it has our cream soup base in it, right? So I personally didn't want it runny, right? Because once you combined all those ingredients, it just became very, very saucy. So it's kind of like more of like a spread. So when you're making this, it's really, really important to like vigorously, like really take the whip and like get it moving to really break up and incorporate all the cream soup base. All right, so other than that, it's very simple, just combining the ingredients. But one of the components to that, so I'm going to show you, is green peppercorns, right? So these are a briny, they almost look like a caper bear, cross between a caper and just a regular peppercorn. They are, like I said, they're in a brine. It's the way they come. This is actually the quantity you'll get. I believe it's two tablespoons per this recipe. I may be off by 1 to 2. Okay, so two tablespoons. So this is going to make you a lot over the course. We'll get you hopefully a little more information on as far as shelf life on this. I know for a fact it's good for at least 2 weeks after it's open. We're also looking at potentially doing a little bit of a smaller quantity after we go through our initial purchase and delivery. So all you're going to do with these is you want to drain them and then rinse them real quick. Like, you don't have to leave them soak or anything like that. Just in a little container, you know, whatever it is you have. And then when you prepare these for this, you just kind of rough chop these, kind of smash them in a knife. Like you can see, I can literally pick them up and just squeeze and pop them in my hand. So they're really easy to work with. All right, so we'll prepare burgers just like you normally do, like you'd prepare any Willy. We're gonna go right on the flat top. No prep required. Hit with a little bit of hot sauce. Just like you would with any of our cheeseburgers. Add your smoked Gouda. So it'll actually be 1 slice per. 1 slice per patty. In the meantime, lettuce. Fairly substantial. You want to give it some natural height. A little bit of perception of value, you know. Tomato. Burgers stack, just like you normally would. It's actually a really good combination. Smokiness of the cheese, and this is a little sharp, you know, and peppery from the A1 and the peppercorn. And if you don't know, green peppercorn are not really spicy, so it's not like you're biting into, you know, just a black peppercorn per se. Just a completely different flavor, a little briny, a little salty. A little bit of florally peppercorn thing going on. So about 2 ounces, yeah, a little less than that, but a nice little blob right around there, right around 2 ounces. Like, don't want to skimp on the sauce. About 2 ounces of onion tanglers. Pick some nice ones for a picture. Again, decent amount of onions. We want to make sure we have some natural height to it, which I think we've achieved. Pick, if I can find one, and then obviously your side. I think Ian's finding us a pick, because you can't deny. That's pretty nice.
A few minutes later.
Right, so we're going to put a pick to the top, serve it. Pretty nice, right? So we got natural height from the lettuce, double stacked burgers, and from the onions. That's it. And a pickle. Got it. So last thing we're going to make is a broccoli broccoli Alfredo, right? So we have the tortellini that you may or may not have, depending on how the video is edited, that we talked about. So this tortellini comes in frozen. We boil it for 4.5 minutes, strain it, lightly oil it, put it in a tote, lightly oil, refrigerate it, and or portion it to 8 ounces, which is what we're using for the Alfredo. Right, so we have a regular portion, 4-ounce portion of broccoli. These products are currently hot, and then we have Alfredo sauce. So this product comes in frozen, right? will need to be thawed, either force thawed under running water or left on the shelf. I recommend probably force thawing it to kind of speed up the process. So we use about 6 ounces per order, right? Ladle is nice. You can, I think that's 6 ounces. Yeah. So if you want, you can portion this in advance. The only thing I can't recommend is portioning it and then refreezing it and then pulling it and heating it, you know, because at some point it needs to go back into the pan to get tossed, because we're not going to dump it in a bowl and dump the sauce over top. So if you do run into any issues with this, like nearing shelf life or anything like that, I believe, Pam, would you, so we have 5 days from open. It's about 14 days, I believe, from thawed unopened. And so one thing I recommend that you can use this for is like if you're making a cream soup, right? So cauliflower, mushroom, broccoli, cheesy cauliflower, any kind of those kind of things that you may use cream soup base in and or milk, right? So this acts pretty well. Like I've used this to make mac and cheese. I've used this as like in soups, those kind of things. I can't give you a specific like quantity or amount, but you know, use your noggin a little bit as far as that goes. So back to the tortellini. So 6 ounces in a pan on the saute range. This is about as simple as a saute dish that you can get. Right, so we're going to add our tortellini, microwave for about a minute, right? So I mean, you may get varying results depending on the microwave. So it's actually at this point pretty hot. Then we have our portion of broccoli. Pat actually suggested earlier that, you know, if you guys could microwave them together simultaneously, kind of skip a step, or you know, skip a step. I think it's a great idea. What that time is, I haven't, you know, tried it. You may get the same results in like a minute and a half, you know, combining the two, because it may change the cook time. But please feel free to give that a whirl. So again, 6 ounces Alfredo, microwaved tortellini. At this point, they're pretty much hot the whole way through, so there's not really a whole lot of cooking involved. Microwave broccoli, again, same way, pretty much cooked through. So at this point, we're just looking to make sure the Alfredo's hot, everything's tossed, everything's ready to go. If you run into an issue where the Alfredo may be a little bit on the thick side, because again, this is a, you know, pre-made product, so it can vary, a little bit of variance. But what I recommend is just a tiny bit of water, just to adjust the consistency, right? Then if you do adjust the consistency, and you know it ends up being a little too thin, let's say, that's what the heat's for. Just kind of reduce it back down. So you're in control, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. I'm actually going to increase this just a smidge. So I'm actually going to increase this right now on the spot, live, in person, 8 ounces of Alfredo. So we'll give her a little probe. Perfect. Absolutely perfection. 165. And then we're going to talk just a little bit more about this after I get it in a bowl. I'm going to garnish a little bit. A little bit of dried parsley, a little bit of grated parm. So there will be the option to add proteins to this, right? So I'm going to try to promote, or I think we need to try to promote our Italian chicken. I think it's a good product. So customers, guests will have the ability to add Italian chicken, 6 ounce beef tips, or sauteed shrimp to this dish, right? For you know, an additional charge, obviously. So what that means, though, that's at this point is when you would add it. You'll add the protein directly on top. Don't serve it on the side. You know, I mean, it's their choice to order that protein. So if, you know, I'd like to think that they're expecting it to come on the pasta. All those items are prepared just like you normally would. So Italian chicken's prepared normally, 6 ounce tips, as well as the shrimp. And that's it. Very easy. I don't know if we've had much luck with sauteed dishes or pasta dishes in the past, but we're going to find out. Have a good day. Bye.